The valedictorian of this graduating class holds a special place in my heart. Before Fady entered his freshman year here, I was speaking to his middle school debate coach, Mr. Beatty, who I see up there right now, and he kept describing Fady as amazing, gifted, brilliant, and honestly it was a little overwhelming, and I started kind of like doubting how true that actually was because it felt like he was trying to convince me. Well, I was very, very wrong. 4 years later, and I find I'm now the one with the same passion and enthusiasm when I talk to anyone that would listen about this truly amazing individual. We all know that Fady is a stellar student and has been successful in all of his academic endeavors, but I would like to share one of the many things about Fady that makes me wonder, is this a real person? Every year since he began, I've met with him and Lewis about goals for the future of this debate team, or our debate team. Every year Fady gives pretty much the same answer. Basically, we'd rather have a small, tightly knit group of individuals whose main goal is self-improvement and the betterment of their peers, rather than a large group of half-hearted, disinterested debaters. His main goal for the team and for debate is not about collecting wins and hoarding trophies. It's about creating a positive space to improve with people that might one day feel like failing. Standing before you today, I can safely say that Fady has met his goal. Our team has become like a second family, albeit somewhat dysfunctional at times. Functionally dysfunctional, you might say. At the end of the day, I appreciate all the hard work that Fady has put into this school and team, and I look forward to seeing all of his future accomplishments. It's with great pride and pleasure that I introduce the valedictorian for the class of 2019, Fady Gual.
I'm not a real person, by the way. I don't even exist. Good morning, class of 2019, friends, family, educators, and bringers of hope. It is with great honor that I stand here with the class of 2019 to stare the future in the face and be able to say, we're kind of ready. I gotta say though, when I think back to that timid and studious kid that entered this high school, it's kind of insane to imagine the big transition from point A to point here. I came to this school underestimating myself, thinking that I was just another silent, smart kid who will do great, without knowing two things: how I'll do great, or why I needed to. So, first, I'd like to acknowledge that my journey up to this podium today wouldn't have been made possible without the help of several key individuals from this school. I want to start off by thanking a teacher who couldn't join us today, Ms. Sarmiento, my AP environmental teacher, and a big part of the reason why I became persistently attached to the notion that we can save the world and all of its beauty from our own kind. I want to thank all of my English teachers, Mr. Chinque, Ms. Scher, Ms. Gianti, for pushing the limits of my writing abilities in a world where being a minority means that one of the ways in which we not only survive, but also thrive is through our writing. I want to thank my history teachers, Ms. Jackson, Mr. Goldsmith, and especially Ms. Fryer, for teaching me how and why to question everything. But not just because it feels good, but because it's okay to wonder and explore. And that's true even if it means getting under the skin of those whom you question. I want to thank Ms. Richard, who kept me away from my comfort zone this entire year, teaching me that one can't really learn anything without getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. I want to thank my civics teachers, Mr. Williams and O'Brien, for expanding my sense of perspective on social issues that never cease to evolve as normative thinking, what we consider normal, changes. Thanks to my math teachers, Mr. Caulfield, Ms. Lentz, and Ms. Kilgore, for keeping math full of life even when it seemed like life was just full of math. And thanks to Senora Davila for understanding what it's like for students to come to her class at the end of a day that's long, that's tough, and maybe sometimes a little sad, but still be able to amp us up and get ready to make us the loudest Spanish speakers in the school. One of my biggest thanks goes to my family, and most importantly, my mom, who's literally worked her arms stiff in order to not only make sure I get up here today to put food on the table, but also to make sure that she's a better mom and human being every time she gets out of bed in the morning. I just want to thank you for everything that you've done for me up until this point, and I want to say that I'm as proud of you as you are of me. So I love you. A thank you to Mr. Herring for saving our class experience countless times and showing us that sometimes in life you just gotta keep on moving, even when everything else seems to stop. Another huge thank you to my debate coach, Mr. Lozzi, who found that timid boy freshman year, volunteered to help him start a debate team from scratch, and guided him on his journey to become the best captain he could be for his team. You've been everything we've needed, Lozzi, from start to now. And so much so that you've not only been an outstanding captain and coach, you've also been a father figure, not just to me, but to the team.
Woo!
And last, but most certainly not least, I want to thank my best friend, Louis. Lewis for transferring to this school, for fighting hard to conquer opportunity after opportunity, and for making his school experience the best possible thing, not just for himself, but for my classmates and I. Words can't describe how much I'm gonna miss you, Lewis, once you leave to Wisconsin. We're like two peas in a pod, like partners in crime, like two best friends that decided one day that we're gonna rise up together and do something great. And we did. And even though we split here, just like everyone else here, you're gonna have a fantastical story to tell once you come back after those 4 years, just like everyone here. So, from small things like getting bizarre nicknames like Ferret, the Flash, Mama, to watching the class get into an argument about whether humans evolved from dogs, to being the first senior class to lose at their own Olympic event. Yeah. I guess shout out to the juniors in the crowd. When you think about it, it's kind of hard for all of us to imagine how we got from point A to point here. But we did it, and now we're ready to move on and head out to a world ahead of us. When you think about it, the class of 2019 is heading out into a world that's truly no joke. Today, we're just a few clicks away from being able to see how much we're falling apart as a society. We live in a place where school shootings occur so often that families are more afraid of the fact that they're accustomed to hearing about them in the news rather than being shocked at the fact that they keep happening. A place that uses those same shootings as an excuse to fortify our schools and punish black and brown teenagers so that we look like the dangerous ones at the end of the day.
Woo!
We live in a place that tries to define us before we have the ability to do it ourselves. One that takes any little aspect of our identity and tries to tell us what is instead of what could be and how we get to decide. We live in a place where separating children from their parents and putting them in cages is somehow considered a heroic act by people who think running a country is the same as running a TV show.
Woo!
Yes, it's true. This is a place that is imperfect, riddled with discrimination, oppression, and hate, but one that each of us here is tasked with saving in the coming years. In a world in which racism decides where black and brown people start, it cannot determine where we will finish. Today, we have gathered with us students who aspire to be lawyers, lawmakers, artists, athletes, protectors, and lifesavers. In contrast to the idealism of America, our success in life isn't always going to be determined by how much money we make from our careers. It's based on how much we're willing to pursue greatness for both ourselves and for others around us. The truth of that success is that our greatness is absolute. It's the ultimate end goal, and no matter where we end up, which way the roads twist and turn, or where we end up, how rough the travel might be, the truth is that greatness is for all of us. It's for all of us to embark on, all of us to take in. The man who fought to stand for black and brown greatness, and the one who our campus is named after, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., once said, "Take the first step in faith." You don't have to see the whole staircase, you just have to take the first step. For those of you who might have barely made it here today, who might not have motivation left after the spiritually taxing education system that we're all expected to keep up with the same way, this isn't the end of your opportunity for personal growth. It's the start of how you want to carry it out, the start of how you decide to take your first step. Truthfully, many of us won't know what that first step is, and it's completely okay, because no one can expect us to have our entire lives planned out when we're just now graduating from having to ask permission to go to the bathroom and get water. Can't tell us that. So the key to taking the first step is to stop worrying about what the right step is and just find what you want to do, no matter what it is, as long as you keep moving in life. Those two things that I didn't know as a freshman, how and why I will achieve greatness, was a lesson that this class taught to me throughout the 4 years that I've been here. I was taught by everyone here that I need to be great with the people that I fight for, that we need to reach that ultimate goal together, not separately. Today, we sit together looking at that grand staircase. Every day after today is our first step closer to the top. So class of 2019, one last time, let's walk out of here today and take the first step together. Thank you.